This is Anna Dyfan teaches, From the Depths, Basic LAMS or Laser Anti-Munition System. The LAMS system is a laser. It is built in the same way as normal laser, but rather than using a laser combiner as an offensive laser, you utilise laser munition defence nodes. These actually draw the same amount of power out of a laser cavity system, and so that is very useful for testing. The most important part of a laser is the actual multi-purpose laser block itself. This is what all the cavities connect into and what the transceivers transmit from. If this block is destroyed, then the entire laser system will stop functioning. So, to begin a cavity, I need to start off with a coupler, and I want to be utilising 4 Q-switch laser. So I'm going to put all 4 Q-switches on here. The reason for this is that a 4Q laser, that is what a laser which utilises 4 Q-switches, is twice as energy efficient as a continuous laser, despite it only firing a fraction number of times. This isn't to say the continuous laser is useless, but you will require a continuous laser system to be at least twice the size as a 4Q system in order to get the same total damage output. Missiles have an armor value of 1, so in order to do full damage against them, you need an armor penetration value of 3. So you require 2 laser frequency doublers, which add AP. So as you can see, I have a 3 AP laser, and if I add a cavity here and put on a laser pump, that now begins to fill up, and I will now do some damage. Once it's fully loaded with all 200 power, you can see there I can actually do a little bit of damage. If I do want to increase this, I can actually put on there, and that will mean I now have a storage capacity of 400, but because I've just replaced a frequency doubler by mistake, it means that I now have 2 AP. What I can do though, if I so wish to, I don't actually have to have the frequency doublers all in the same line. What I can do, I can set a second cavity here, put it into there. I can actually put the frequency doubler on this one here. You can see now it's 3 AP. If I had one onto there, it's 4 AP. And it doesn't matter which one, so long as they are connected to the same laser source, it doesn't matter which one I have. So, for a laser system, the larger the better. And the same goes for LAMS. So, ideally, I want to go as large as possible, but I'll just go with 5 standard cavities and put on as many pumps as possible. This will mean that I can support the most number of laser nodes as I possibly can. As I said before, the munitions defense have the same power draw as the laser combiner, so I can actually utilize a laser combiner to test these more quickly and see what sort of damage this system is doing. So let's just add some steering optics on here. I can observe the damage, the pulse damage, and fire, and I can see that I am very easily powering this up. What you'll notice at the bottom corner there is that my power is fluctuating up and down. That means that this system is actually charging too quickly, and I can add more combiners or nodes to the system before it is stable. There we go. Now with 8 combiners on this particular system, we have a steady power draw. Unfortunately, the pulse damage is incredibly low. That is going to be very weak against trying to take any missiles down, and I severely need to increase that. One way to increase that is simply increase the size of the laser system. Alternatively, what is very effective is utilising a storage cavity. The storage cavity will take a long while to recharge, but means that the pulses will get incredibly strong for a short period of time. You can see here, I will fire this, and it fires initially at a high damage, but then decreases down to the 30 or 40. That's all 8 firing at once. And then if I stop firing for a moment, it all charges back up, and it can fire, reduce down again, charge back up, and then fire again. This is much more what a LAMS system will be utilising. For an offensive laser, this isn't so good because you lose that, you have a short burst and then not much happens. But with LAMS, it's rare for them to be firing constantly, and this makes them incredibly effective against destroying crams, because crams have a lot of health but fire very slowly, so your system will charge up, fire, destroy the cram. Then, 10-15 seconds later, the system is back fired, and it fires again. Gives you very high damage against that. The other nice thing about having a storage system is that it doesn't matter so much about having so many nodes. So if I delete a load of these nodes, so now here, I'm back down to only 5. 5 is actually at a higher damage rating, but the energy draw is stable, and that's same again if I take a couple more off. So I'm actually down to just 3 nodes firing. They are all firing constantly, but just now at a higher damage. And it's a steady power draw, and I can easily see that power draw if I go into the V menu. I can see it's actually requesting 2000 power. So the ratio of storage cavities to actual laser pumps is basically about 4 or 5 standard cavities, so that's basically 16 to 20 pumps per actual storage cavity, and it seems to extend very well. So if I just add another 5 on there, and in fact I'll actually just prefab this. I'm going to just prefab this and then extend it as much as I'd like. So now, when it's charging up, it now does a rather colossal 1800 pulse damage, which is really quite insane. It fires down. That will very happily destroy all sorts of projectiles very, very easily. However, this is not a laser tutorial, this is a LAMS tutorial. So, let us build some actual LAMS nodes utilising our new system. Just have a standard sort of node here with nodes pointing in all directions. This will allow 3 or 4 nodes to fire at any one missile or cram at any one point. This is very good for like the top of a ship. Next, I need to ensure that I have plenty of detection, which I do. I have munition warners all the way around this fortress, so that's no problem there. And now it's time to spawn in a missile ship. So the missile ship I have is a little tester. This thing, referred to as the missile defender, I'll spawn it on the enemy team. This will fire constant missiles. And there we go. You can see LAMS quite happily shooting down all the missiles. Well, most of the missiles. So each shot takes a missile out. But unfortunately, they have a tendency to sometimes shoot the same missile, which does mean that they won't work as effectively. But just compare this to a continuous one. It's only firing 1 Q laser now. So there, the continuous is working well on this, but it's now having to hit each missile a couple of times. But it is firing 40 shots per second. As you can see, it's doing 50 damage per shot compared to the much higher one from the 4Q. So that's doing 500 damage per shot, which would pretty much be able to stop a lot of cram shells in short order, and be able to shoot down missiles much more significant in length and health than these ones, because missiles are dependent on how much health they are. Now I can actually see just how much power is being drawn from this system. and it's very nice and stable. It's another good reason for using these 5, because each one of these is drawing 2000 power. So I can very easily figure out how much power my laser system is working. So why storage cavities? If I get rid of the storage, you can see that even against this solid barrage, the pulse damage is down at only 200. That's because of the way the storage cavities allow a subpart laser system to utilise all of it charging. You can see the power is fluctuating again in the corner because I'm charging the cavities faster than they're needed. So they're almost always at full power, the full power being 240 pulse damage. Utilising the storage laser cavities, each individual shot when the laser system is firing slowly will be higher, and it will mean that the cavity doesn't drain. It will still always have some capacity left in it, and it will allow the system to be a buffer. If it's being overused, then yes, the damage will again of each laser go down to the 240 like before, but it's not in the same way. That's only if the entire laser cavity is being used to full potential, which, as I said before, does happen with continuous fire of actual offensive lasers, but for defensive lasers they will not always be firing. So having storage cavities will considerably help in that regard. It means the power is more stable, so it is easier to work with. You don't have problems with ramp up of fuel engines, wasting energy there, and fluctuating power. And even worse is having ramp up and wasted power with regards to steam engines. So a couple of ideas which you need to know about when utilising LAMS systems is, it is always best to have a single large or as large a LAMS system as possible, as it will mean that each individual laser will do as much damage as possible, thus allowing you to shoot down things more readily. However, that does also present a significant weakness, because if this block gets destroyed, the entire system will shut down, which will mean you have 0 defences. So for example here, I've got this great powerful LAMS system that was defending me great. Delete. The whole system is destroyed. That leaves you very vulnerable. So it's always a good idea to have a couple of systems, or even a primary one and then some backup ones. So, for example, I have these two set out here on the left and right side of my ship. It would be nice and simple just to link this one up to all the right hand side LAMS and this one to all the left hand side LAMS, but that is a very big weakness, because if this is powering these nodes here and here, and I get attacked by a shot from here, that has just disabled the LAMS on this side of the ship, the side which I'm getting shot at by, which is not good because I've lost the central thing. My LAMS and my defences have all shut down. That means that more and more damage can penetrate through the ship and destroy me. What I want to do is link this laser anti-missile system to the LAMS on this side of the ship. So if I get attacked here and it destroys that LAMS system, it disables the laser defences on the far side of the ship, side of the ship which is not being attacked. I'll just show you how to quickly set that up. So let's quickly build these up, and I'm going to utilise transceivers. This area is fairly wasteful and actually isn't required. What I can do, I could just place a transceiver like this. That's still actually connecting the whole system and only costs the price of a single transceiver. And the same for this one here. Connect it like that. And the way it works is that you have to think, this is the laser source. So it fires the laser out through this hole here and it enters the side of the transceiver here. And then it gets sent out through there, to there, and there. And that makes this considerably cheaper, because rather than having another 2 transceivers, and they're 100 material apiece, which, considering, you know, you're just sending a beam of light straight around your ship, this can get quite complex maneuvers. And it all adds up in cost. I'm just going to place a wooden block on this location so that I can get the laser and transceiver and then just replace the block like so. So there we have it. This LAMS system is connected to this side of the ship's laser defences, and now I'll just quickly do it for the other. The easiest way of doing this would probably have it inverted, so then I could have just had it linked over like this, but whatever, it doesn't matter too much. It just makes it look a little bit more clunky, I guess. Here we go. That's how the LAMS system is set up. That makes it quite a bit more useful. And if I just spawn in an enemy, so spawn in an enemy submarine, it's going to fire a large number of missiles at me. That now allows me to shoot them down. You can see here, though, this LAMS system is now being destroyed and hit. But the actual munitions defences on that side are still currently functioning. So yeah, again, the LAMS system is being destroyed and heavily damaged, which is making its charging do a lot less. So it keeps getting hit, but it's being repaired, but is being destroyed. And if that was the case, these LAMS would stop functioning. But since these LAMS are connected to this laser, it's still working fine, and my defences are still operational despite being hammered by loads and loads of missiles. So building an effective LAMS system doesn't just involve making a laser. Though it is a very important part, you need to know where to put the transceivers, to link them all together and ensure that the actual laser cavities themselves, and in particular the multi-purpose laser source, are all safe. Because if this part gets damaged, or in particular if this part gets damaged, your defences will shut offline. And as soon as your defences are shut offline, you will get hit by more projectiles, compounding the damage you receive. So it's very important to ensure this component and these components are kept safe. And be aware that the cavities themselves are weak to heat damage. So if you're placing them, you want to have a few or no air gaps around them, potentially thinking about putting ERA around them, to ensure that they don't get destroyed by heat projectiles. And again, redundancy is key to ensure that your ship doesn't get destroyed by a single projectile like a heat shell going through, turning off all your defences, making you incredibly vulnerable to all manner of weapons, crams, lasers, everything. So you can make LAMS systems as large and complex as you like, though be aware that there is a slight delay between them firing at a new missile, and they have a tendency to all shoot at the same projectile, which does mean that it is impossible to create a system which will make you completely immune to high spam weapons. which is why it is always a good idea to utilise a combination of anti-missile cannons and lasers in order to make your ship as powerful as possible. Because then swarm missiles will be destroyed by flak cannons, and then everything else will be shot down by the laser anti-missile systems. As you see, laser anti-munition systems aren't particularly complicated, they just require a fair amount of power, and check that in the V menu. But thanks for watching. Until next time.